18 months ago, I was in a bad spot. On the outside, everything looked great. I was coaching business owners full time. I owned a successful business. I had a healthy family and a great life. But I was in the worst shape I'd been in years. I couldn't remember the last time I went on vacation, and I was stressed and miserable with no time to enjoy any of it. I felt like I was buried. When I finally quit that full-time gig to focus on my business and myself, I re-examined my life to look for ways to get myself back on track and rekindle my lost joy. Over the next 18 months, I did experiments with more than 25 daily habits to get healthy, happy, and back to my normal self. As a result, I lost 25 pounds, my business had its best year ever, and I felt a lot less stressed and lost than I was 18 months ago. In this video, I'm gonna show you the 6 habits that made the biggest difference for me, the 2 things I had to give up to find peace, and how to make starting a habit easy even if it's super hard. Along the way, I'll also show you the trick I use to motivate myself to do a habit on the days I don't want to. The first habit happens as soon as I get up. And to make sure it happens, it starts the moment I start brushing my teeth. Sometime after I turned 35, I noticed my body wasn't as resilient as it once was. I'd wake up with aches and pains, and my feet always hurt from running or lifting weights. So the first thing I do when I wake up is a little mobility routine, first thing in the morning to get me ready for the day. It comes from my friend Kelly Starrett, and it's called the morning spin up. It starts with a golf ball under my foot. I roll my feet while I'm brushing and flossing my teeth, about 1 to 2 minutes per side. Then I go to the floor and do a very short series of hip and shoulder movements to wake my body up and get it ready for exercise. You can check the links below for the full routine. It takes about 7 minutes total. Once that's done, I feel like my feet and joints are ready to go. And if I have to run to catch a bus or walk my son to school, there's no more stiffness or old man noises. Right after the morning spin up, I move on to habit number 2. Now, you've probably seen a ton of people talking about this and posting videos of themselves doing this every morning, quoting Andrew Huberman or David Goggins, "No days off, rise and grind." And lately, you've probably seen people saying it's overhyped or doesn't do all the things they say it does. I'm of course talking about the cold plunge. I get in the cold water every single day and it makes me feel amazing. There is a ton of research about the benefits of cold plunging for recovery, fat loss, etc. But the reason I do it every day is number 1, I don't want to do it. Number 2, I feel amazing after I get out of it. If I start the day doing something I really don't want to do, it sets the tone for the rest of the day, which is going to be filled with fear-facing and uncomfortable conversations. If you don't have a plunge, a cold shower does the same thing. And I often find that it is harder to get in a cold shower than a cold plunge because of the associations you have with a shower and comfort. These are all the things I do in the morning. I don't like to have an extensive morning routine because it feels more like procrastination when it takes more than 15 minutes or so. And sometimes I just go straight to work before doing these things and then set myself an alarm to do them mid-morning as a reset. Habit number 3 are things I gave up. For the last 20 years, I've had one or both of these 2 beverages at least 2 to 3 times per week. When I finally had the space and time to reflect on what was giving me energy and what was taking it away, I decided to give them both up. First was alcohol. Now, I would only drink 1 to 2 times a week, but I would overeat and underperform for the next 3 days as a result. The trade-off just wasn't worth it anymore, so I gave it up for 6 months. After about 3 weeks, I felt like a superhuman and started dialing in a lot of my other habits because I wasn't spending the weekend recovering from a couple beers on a Friday night. That caused me to also give up coffee, which I was using as a stimulant to help me recover from the alcohol. It soon became a daily habit, and I was drinking more than 2 cups of coffee a day just to function. Giving that up was terrible for a day or 2, but my energy leveled out and I haven't craved it since. Later, I'll show you how I managed to stick to these habits using 2 simple tricks that you can implement today. Habit number 4 is sort of like meditation, but that never really worked for me. I think I just got too fidgety or restless while I was sitting there, and I was always thinking about the next thing I could or should be doing. But I found that if I engaged in breath work, it was more like an active meditation, and it helped me change my state faster than any mantra I've ever tried. I like to do Wim Hof style breathing, but I mix it up with different styles depending on how I feel. And I've done it every day for more than 6 months, and I can tell you that I am calmer, more relaxed, less stressed, and I feel like I have a place to go when anxiety pops up. Mainly happened because I found an amazing follow-along breathwork instructor on YouTube. His name is Breathe with Sandy. Go check him out. When I started doing it, he only had 10,000 subs, and now he's got over 100,000 because he's really awesome. And I usually do this in the evenings before bed. Habit number 5 is really simple. In fact, it's so simple that you probably already do it. It's the best way to work out a problem, have a phone call, meet with a coworker, or get to work work if you live close enough, and it is walking. I have tracked my weight every day since 2020, and I've noticed that when my weight goes down, I'm always walking more, generally about 10 to 12,000 steps per day. When it goes up, I'm usually at about 6 to 8,000 steps per day. Now, this is coming from a guy who owns a gym and works out 4 to 5 days per week. Get your steps in. I always come up with the best ideas, have the best meetings, and spend the best quality time with my family when I'm walking. I also finish books, podcasts, and sometimes even YouTube videos while I'm walking. I aim for 12,000 steps per day, and I use this Oura Ring to track it. Now, I'm not sponsored by them, I've just been using it for years. The last habit is the hardest one, but it makes the biggest difference. I've worked with over 9,000 people to help them get strong and lose weight at my gyms over the last 13 years. And the one thing everyone struggles with is nutrition. They don't know what to eat, they don't know when to eat, they don't know how much to eat, but more importantly, they have no idea what they're actually eating. When I lost 100 pounds, the last 20 was the hardest. I'd cleaned up my diet and I was no longer eating pizza and burgers every day. But even if you are eating healthy, you can still overeat. And that is what I was doing 18 months ago. Eating what I thought were the right foods and watching my weight creep up every day. So the final habit that has made the biggest difference for me is tracking my food. I track everything I eat every day, even if it's cake and lasagna. Now this is the hardest because it requires the most diligence, and the first 2 weeks are the worst. So I tricked myself into doing it by telling myself I was only gonna do it for 30 days. I also enlisted an accountability partner to do it with me, and we both committed to tracking and sending each other our logs every day for a month. After that month was up and the hard work was done, we just kept doing it. By tracking my food for only 7 weeks, I lost 20 pounds and got in the best shape of my life. Now I continue to track even if I'm not trying to lose weight, so I have the continued awareness of what is going into my body. Another thing I do when I'm trying to develop a new habit is write it down in my journal. This paper journal is my favorite way to reward myself for sticking with my habits. To find out how I use it, go check out this video over here so you can learn how to set up your own.